In today's world, success is less about what you know and more about how well you connect with others. You can have the sharpest mind, the strongest work ethic, and the most brilliant ideas, but if you can't communicate effectively, your potential will remain locked inside. That's why How to Talk to Anyone by Leil Lowndes is such an important book. It's not just about conversation tips. It's about unlocking the doors to opportunity, building relationships that matter, and creating a presence that draws people to you. The truth is, many of us struggle with communication. Maybe you've been in a networking event, standing there with a drink in hand, unsure how to approach a stranger. Or maybe you've wanted to make a strong impression in a job interview, only to feel your nerves take over. Perhaps you've wished you could deepen relationships with colleagues, clients, or even friends, but didn't know how to move past small talk. How to Talk to Anyone addresses all these challenges with practical strategies that anyone can learn and apply. What makes this book so valuable is that it's not about manipulation or slick tricks. It's about understanding human psychology, how people naturally respond to warmth, confidence, and attention. Lowndes distills decades of research and real-world experience into 92 simple, actionable techniques. From the way you introduce yourself, to how you hold eye contact, to how you listen in a way that makes others feel heard, the book equips you with tools to thrive in any social situation. For an American audience, the importance of this book is especially clear. The United States is a country built on networking, opportunity, and self-presentation. Whether you're attending a business conference in New York, a tech meetup in Silicon Valley, or a community event in your hometown, the ability to talk to anyone can change the trajectory of your career and your personal life. Americans value confidence, authenticity, and the ability to connect quickly, two qualities this book helps you develop. Consider the workplace. A promotion often doesn't just go to the hardest worker, but to the one who communicates best, who can rally a team, inspire confidence, and build trust. Or think about personal relationships, friendships, partnerships, even dating, all thrive on meaningful connection. In a country as diverse and dynamic as America, where people from all backgrounds interact daily, knowing how to talk to anyone is a superpower. Reading this book is like receiving a personal guide to social confidence. It doesn't assume you're naturally charismatic. Instead, it shows you that charisma can be learned. Each tip is practical, easy to understand, and immediately applicable. The importance of How to Talk to Anyone lies in its promise. With a few adjustments in how you approach people, you can open new doors, strengthen your relationships, and leave a lasting impression wherever you go. Ultimately, this book matters because communication is the foundation of success in business, in friendship, and in life. Leil Lowndes gives us not just techniques, but a new mindset, that anyone can become more likable, more persuasive, and more confident by learning how to talk to anyone. Behind every timeless book on human connection stands an author who's lived the struggle herself. Leil Lowndes is not a distant academic theorizing about communication. She is someone who personally overcame shyness and social anxiety, and then devoted her life to helping others do the same. Her story makes How to Talk to Anyone not just a collection of techniques, but a heartfelt guide born from lived experience. Leil Lowndes grew up as an introvert, someone who found social situations overwhelming and intimidating. She often shares how she used to feel paralyzed at parties or business events, desperately wanting to connect but not knowing what to say or how to say it. Instead of accepting this as her permanent reality, she began studying communication. She observed what socially confident people did differently, she tested techniques in real life, and she slowly built the skills that allowed her to transform her own life. Her journey turned into a career. Today, Leil Lowndes is a recognized communication expert, speaker, and author of multiple best-selling books. In addition to How to Talk to Anyone, she has written How to Instantly Connect with Anyone and Goodbye to Shy. Her work has been featured on major American media outlets like CNN, ABC, and USA Today, and her workshops have been attended by business professionals, leaders, and individuals across the country. What sets Lowndes apart is her practical, approachable philosophy. She doesn't teach communication as an abstract theory. Instead, she breaks it down into small, achievable steps that anyone can apply. Her belief is simple but powerful. Communication is a skill, not a gift. That means you don't have to be born charismatic. You can learn it, practice it, and master it just like any other skill. Another key part of her philosophy is empathy. Lowndes emphasizes that effective communication is not about dazzling others with clever words. It's about making people feel valued and understood. Whether it's holding eye contact just long enough, listening without interrupting, or mirroring someone's enthusiasm, she teaches that human connection is rooted in emotional intelligence. Americans, living in a fast-paced and diverse society, especially resonate with this message. People don't remember every word you say, but they remember how you made them feel. Lowndes also champions the idea that confidence comes through action. Many shy people wait until they feel confident before stepping into social situations, but Lowndes flips the script. By practicing small techniques, a smile, a greeting, a question, confidence grows naturally. Her own transformation is proof of this. Ultimately, who is Leil Lowndes? She is a guide, a mentor, and an encourager for anyone who's ever felt nervous in conversation. Her life's work embodies her philosophy. That connection is not a mystery, it's a learnable skill. And her success as an author and speaker is living evidence that you can go from shy and uncertain to confident and magnetic if you're willing to practice. Every book has a purpose. Some are written to entertain, others to inform. Leil Lowndes wrote How to Talk to Anyone for a Deeper Reason, to give people the confidence and tools to connect meaningfully with others, no matter the situation. At its heart, the book exists to help people overcome shyness, eliminate awkwardness, and step into conversations with ease and confidence. The first purpose is to demystify social success. Many people believe charisma is something you're born with, that some lucky few are naturally charming while the rest must struggle. Lowndes challenges this belief. She shows that communication is not a mysterious talent, but a skill set that can be learned. Each of her 92 techniques is designed to break social interaction into small, manageable steps anyone can master. The book's purpose is to say, you can do this. You can learn to connect with anyone. Another purpose is to empower people in both personal and professional life. In the US, social and communication skills often make the difference between success and stagnation. You can be highly qualified for a job, but if you can't connect with an interviewer, opportunities slip away. You can be hardworking in a company, but if you can't build relationships with colleagues and leaders, promotions may pass you by. Lowndes' book is meant to level the playing field, giving shy or uncertain people the same chance to shine as the naturally confident. The book also exists to make socializing less stressful. For many, networking events, parties, or even everyday conversations feel like minefields of anxiety. Lowndes wrote this book to ease that fear by offering concrete techniques like how to use body language to appear approachable, or how to start conversations with simple openers. She gives readers a toolkit to replace dread with confidence. The purpose is not just to help people talk, but to help them enjoy talking. Beyond skills, the book has a larger purpose, to remind us that human connection is essential. In America, where life often feels rushed, digital, and disconnected, people long for genuine connection. Lowndes' book exists to meet this need. It teaches that when you know how to make others feel heard and valued, you don't just succeed socially, you enrich lives, including your own. Ultimately, the purpose of How to Talk to Anyone is transformation. It's about turning a nervous wallflower into someone who can walk into a room and build real relationships. It's about turning small talk into meaningful talk. And most of all, it's about giving people the freedom to express themselves authentically, without fear, and to connect with others in ways that change both their personal and professional future. Leil Lowndes' How to Talk to Anyone is more than a book of conversation tricks. It's a guide to transforming how we relate to others. With 92 specific techniques, it shows that connection is not luck, it's a learnable skill. The lessons from this book don't just make you a smoother talker. They make you more confident, more likable, and more effective in building relationships. Let's walk through the key insights, how to apply them, and how they come alive in real-world American settings. 1. First impressions are everything. In the US, first impressions carry enormous weight. Whether it's walking into a job interview in New York, greeting colleagues at a San Francisco tech startup, or attending a barbecue in your suburban neighborhood, the first few seconds set the tone. Lowndes emphasizes the importance of your body language before you even speak. Her famous tip, the flooding smile, encourages you to let a warm, genuine smile slowly spread across your face when you meet someone, as if it's just for them. Pair that with strong eye contact, not a stare, but a steady connection, and you communicate confidence and warmth instantly. Application. The next time you attend a networking event, don't rush to shake hands. Instead, pause for half a beat, lock eyes, and let your smile unfold naturally. Americans notice subtle cues like this. It makes you memorable in a sea of hurried greetings. Illustration. Picture a candidate interviewing at Google. Two applicants have the same credentials. One enters nervously, smiles briefly, and looks down. The other walks in, smiles warmly, shakes hands firmly, and holds eye contact. Which one leaves a stronger impression? The second, every time. 2. Small talk isn't small. Americans often joke about small talk, but in truth, small talk is the gateway to deeper connection. From chatting with your neighbor about the weather to talking about last night's football game at the office, these small exchanges build trust. Lowndes teaches that small talk should never be dismissed as meaningless. It's the bridge to bigger conversations. She suggests using what she calls the big baby pivot. When someone mentions a detail, treat it with as much enthusiasm as if they'd shown you a picture of their newborn. If your coworker casually mentions their weekend trip to Nashville, light up with interest and ask follow-up questions. Application. Always keep a few open-ended conversation starters ready. In the US, asking about weekend plans, favorite restaurants, or recent shows on Netflix are culturally safe and effective. Illustration. Imagine you're at a conference in Chicago. Instead of awkward silence with the person next to you, you say, "So, what brought you here today?" That simple question often opens the door to genuine dialogue, which could lead to opportunities. 3. The power of listening. In a country where everyone seems to be in a hurry, true listening stands out. Lowndes stresses that one of the most magnetic things you can do is make people feel heard. Techniques like parroting, repeating a keyword from what the other person said, and the exclusive smile, smiling only when they speak, not when you do, make people feel you're fully engaged. Application. Next time you're in a meeting, instead of planning your response while someone else is talking, simply mirror back their key points. So you're saying the client wants faster delivery times? This confirms understanding and builds rapport. Illustration. At a dinner party in Los Angeles, one guest dominates the conversation with stories about themselves. Another listens carefully, asks thoughtful follow-ups, and seems genuinely curious. By the end of the evening, everyone remembers the listener as the more charismatic guest. 4. Conversation as a dance. Lowndes compares conversation to a dance. One person leads, the other follows. Then the roles shift. The goal is rhythm and flow. She warns against conversational narcissism, hijacking topics to make them about yourself. Instead, keep the spotlight on the other person. Application. Use the parachute phrase. "That's fascinating. Tell me more." This simple line invites others to expand, making them feel valued. Illustration. Imagine you're networking at a Dallas business mixer. Someone mentions their startup in healthcare tech. Instead of jumping in with your own story, you lean in and say, "That's fascinating. Tell me more about how you're using AI." Suddenly, you're the person they love talking to. 5. Body language speaks louder than words. In the US, people read nonverbal cues instinctively. Lowndes stresses techniques like the sticky eyes, maintaining eye contact even after someone has finished speaking, and the big baby pivot, turning your body fully toward the person you're engaging with. These gestures show undivided attention. Application. When meeting new clients in New York, don't just shake hands while glancing at your phone. Stop, turn fully toward them, and give them the sense that they're the only person in the room. Illustration. Think of a politician on the campaign trail. The most successful ones don't just shake hands quickly, they linger, make eye contact, call people by name, and nod as they listen. These small body language cues build massive loyalty. 6. Building instant rapport. One of Lowndes' most practical insights is the encore technique. When someone tells you their name, repeat it with warmth. Americans in particular value being remembered by name. It signals respect. Dale Carnegie made this famous decades ago, and Lowndes reinforces it with simple tools. Application. When introduced at a networking event, say, "Nice to meet you, Sarah." Then use their name naturally a couple times in conversation. Illustration. Imagine walking into a Rotary Club meeting. You're introduced to 3 new people. By weaving their names back into your sentences, "So John, how long have you been part of this group?" You stand out as someone thoughtful and attentive. 7. Handling awkward moments. Even in America's friendly culture, awkward silences happen. Lowndes teaches the never the naked thank you rule. Instead of just saying thanks, add a specific comment. "Thanks for inviting me. The food was incredible." This keeps the energy flowing. Application. If you sense a conversation dying, revive it with context. In the US, safe ground often includes food, travel, sports, or current cultural events. Illustration. At a wedding in Miami, you run out of things to say with a stranger at your table. Instead of going silent, you pivot. "This venue is beautiful. Have you been here before?" Suddenly, the ice breaks. 8. Networking that feels natural. Americans often dislike networking because it feels forced. Lowndes reframes it as simply building genuine relationships. Her advice: give before you ask. Compliment sincerely, offer resources, or introduce people. Relationships built this way last. Application. After meeting someone at a Boston business conference, send a quick follow-up email with a helpful article related to their work. This small gesture sets you apart. Illustration. A young entrepreneur meets an investor at a Silicon Valley coffee shop. Instead of pitching immediately, she asks about his latest projects, listens with curiosity, and later sends him an article that aligns with his interests. That simple act leads to a second meeting, and eventually, funding. 9. Confidence without arrogance. In the US, confidence is admired, arrogance is despised. Lowndes teaches how to strike the balance. Speak clearly, stand tall, but show humility. Compliment others, share credit, laugh at yourself. Application. In job interviews, emphasize team achievements as much as personal ones. In casual conversations, let others shine. Illustration. At a company happy hour in Austin, one employee brags endlessly about his achievements. Another shares successes, but also jokes about his mistakes. Which one do people gravitate toward? Always the second. 10. Making a lasting impression. Finally, Lowndes highlights the importance of how you leave a conversation. End with energy and positivity, so people associate you with good feelings. Americans remember the peak and the end of experiences most vividly. So leave on a high note. Instead of saying, "Well, I have to go," say, "I've really enjoyed talking with you, and I hope we can continue this conversation soon." Illustration. At a Chamber of Commerce mixer, 2 attendees leave conversations. One slips away quietly, the other smiles, uses the person's name, and ends with enthusiasm. Guess who gets remembered the next day? Pulling it all together. These lessons form a cohesive message. Communication is not about being the loudest or smartest in the room. It's about making others feel valued, comfortable, and connected. In America, where opportunities often flow through networks and relationships, mastering these skills can change your life. Leil Lowndes shows that you don't need to be born charismatic. By applying techniques like the flooding smile, sticky eyes, active listening, name repetition, and thoughtful exits, you can walk into any room, whether it's a boardroom in Manhattan or a backyard barbecue in Ohio, and leave with stronger connections than when you arrived. Ultimately, how to talk to anyone isn't just about talking. It's about creating presence, building trust, and opening doors. And in a country where who you know often matters as much as what you know, these are not soft skills. They are success skills. When you finish how to talk to anyone, you don't just walk away with a bag of conversation tricks. You walk away with a philosophy, the understanding that connection is the true currency of success. The book reminds us that people don't remember every word you say, but they never forget how you made them feel. The final takeaway is this: communication is not a gift reserved for the lucky few. It is a skill, and skills can be learned. Leil Lowndes shows us that with small, intentional changes, a slower smile, deeper eye contact, more attentive listening, anyone can transform how others experience them. These are not cosmetic fixes. They are habits that build trust, likability, and influence. For an American audience, the implications are powerful. In a country where opportunities often emerge through networks, where careers are built in conference rooms, coffee shops, and community events, knowing how to talk to anyone is not optional, it's essential. Think about it. The promotion you want, the client you hope to land, the friendship you long to deepen, all of these hinge on your ability to connect. But perhaps the most inspiring part is that Lowndes proves change is possible. If you've ever felt awkward, shy, or overlooked, this book is your permission slip to believe you can change that narrative. Confidence is not about becoming someone else. It's about learning how to bring out the best version of yourself in every interaction. The challenge then is simple. Don't just read about these techniques, use them. At your next meeting, remember someone's name and repeat it warmly. At your next social gathering, give someone your full attention with sticky eyes. At your next networking event, leave on a high note. Every time you practice, you're not just learning to talk better, you're learning to connect better. And connection is what turns strangers into allies, opportunities into realities, and conversations into relationships that last. So here is the call to action. Step into your next interaction with intention. Choose to be fully present. Choose to smile slowly. Choose to listen deeply. Choose to leave people feeling better for having talked to you. Do this consistently, and you will not only transform how others see you, you'll transform how you see yourself. Because at the end of the day, success in life is not just about what you achieve, but about who you connect with along the way. And the ability to talk to anyone with confidence, authenticity, and warmth is the bridge to a richer, more meaningful future. Subscribe to Awaken Greatness for more inspiring lessons, and comment below to share your thoughts.